Join Dinah on her next show as she welcomes the multi-talented legend of the living room, Rhoda, in the person of Valerie Harper. The star of ABC's Sunday night saga, The Hardy Boys, Parker Stevenson. From Sesame Street, Oscar and his silly sidekick, Big Bird. And the star of Stage Green and other sagas, Betty White, who will no doubt say,
I was a virgin bride, and they're hard to find anymore.
Indeed. Listen to the murmur out there.
Join Dinah along with her special guests Monday at 3 on Channel 7. The news with Bill Stewart, Dave Scott, Star Yellen, and the award-winning Channel 7 News team.
Good evening. The Loving Way United Pentecostal Church is taking a stand against homosexuality. About 150 people today carried signs and burned what they call pornography, including homosexual literature. Some of the people at the demonstration are ex-homosexuals, saying that homosexuals are made and not born. Pastor Maurice Gordon says the demonstration is not linked to Anita Bryant's crusade. However, the Loving Way Church is taking the same stand, saying they're not against the people or the individuals, but they're against what they call the sin of homosexuality. The Boulder Valley School Board says it supports a lawsuit filed last week by District Attorney Alex Hunter against 2 adult bookstores. Hunter's suit seeks an injunction to stop the sale of pornographic materials at a bookstore called The Newsstand, shown here. It's located near Boulder High School. Also named in the suit is the Pleasure Chest gift shop. The school board says members have received numerous complaints from neighbors and parents about the newsstand, and if the suit fails, the school board supports efforts to check into zoning changes as a way of regulating the stores. Workers at the Rocky Flats nuclear weapons plant have reportedly been concerned for at least 3 years about the storage of plutonium at the facility north of Denver. The object of the complaints about 80 stainless steel tanks located in production and plutonium recycling areas of the plant. Rockwell International, the company that operates the plant, is satisfied with the tank safety situation for now, but are developing automated handling systems. Each of the tanks contains small glass rings which absorb neutrons released by the plutonium. They're designed to prevent the material from becoming a critical mass, which would release dangerous amounts of radiation. Safety records kept by Rocky Flats indicates at least one case of a tank with an insufficient number of rings. By the year 2000, Denver's Stapleton Airport could be obsolete. That according to Transportation Secretary Brock Adams. Adams' statement comes despite proposals to spend $800 million on expansion and modernization of the airport. He says the city is one of nearly a dozen in the United States needing new airports. Stapleton is now rated as the 8th busiest airport in the country in terms of passenger arrivals and departures, and the airliner is taking off or landing at Stapleton on the average of every 2 minutes. In the last year, the number of passengers going through the terminal has increased by 14%. If that rate continues, the figure could quadruple by the year 2000. All that air traffic at Stapleton means a lot of hard work for people who bring the planes in. But as Kevin Roberts reports, they're aided in their jobs by some sophisticated machinery.
On an average day, upwards of 1,300 flights land or take off from Stapleton Airport, 24 hours a day, year-round, even in weather that would close most airports. Air traffic controllers manning special radar scopes and with some help from a computerized guidance system can direct planes into Stapleton, in some cases even with visibility as low as 700 feet. It's done with some rather sophisticated electronic equipment called an instrument landing system. At the controls of his plane, the pilot can tell precisely where he is, how high, how fast, his direction, from information on instruments in the cockpit, information fed by other instruments on the ground. Because the cockpit readouts are often the pilot's only reference in bad weather, they have to be absolutely accurate. To put it another way, the instrument landing system is either working perfectly or it isn't working. That kind of accuracy requires constant checks on the equipment, including what you see here, flight testing by a specially equipped plane belonging to the Federal Aviation Administration. No matter how well the equipment tests on the ground, there are some things that have to be checked out from the pilot's point of view. He's the man who may have to fly blindly down the ILS's invisible electronic cone to a point just a few feet off the ground at the end of the runway. The equipment on the plane makes sure that cone is in the right place in the air. During this test, it was. The people who handle the system say it either sends the right information or none at all.
Well, if something went wrong with the equipment, there is a monitor built into it that would detect this, and it would either transfer to the standby equipment if this was available, or if not, it would automatically shut down and send an alarm signal back to the tower.
There are times you can hardly see the ground from the control tower at Stapleton, and when the weather's that foul, the instrument landing system is the only way for planes and their passengers to get down. And constant testing is what makes sure it gets them down exactly the right spot, safely, every time. For the news, Kevin Roberts reporting.
A race car went out of control and crashed into the pits at the Colorado Springs International Speedway today. One man was killed, another injured. The dead man, 59-year-old Edwin Coupland. A man standing next to Coupland suffered a broken ankle. The driver of the car was not hurt. A revenge killing in San Francisco's Chinatown section today. A teenage Oriental was shot to death, another critically wounded in an ambush in an apartment building foyer. Both victims affiliated with the Chinese gang, the Doughboys. Police believe the Doughboy gang was responsible for last week's attack on the Golden Dragon restaurant. 5 people were killed when 3 men entered the restaurant and opened fire with automatic weapons. A steady influx of people into Douglas County is creating a land boom. Coming up next on the news, Jim Redmond takes a look at the advantages and disadvantages of the situation.
Truth or consequences strikes again.
It's Truth or Consequences, Saturday night at 6:30, right here on Channel 7.